If you're trying to learn supply and demand, I'm a supply and demand trader, and I took this move for 10 points or 60% on options. These supply and demand moves will happen often, and it's why I trade SPY and ES every day. I want to share you everything. I want to share with you everything that I saw from pre-market, when the market opened, when this hit my zone, what I saw to take this trade in just a few minutes. Here's exactly what I sent to the Discord this morning for the watch list. You can see I sent this at 7:16 a.m. I'm in Mountain, so that's before the market opens. And I mentioned that we have this demand zone down here at 50.20 to 50.15 ES, and I was watching it for a bounce. It was on the 4-hour with some other confluences. This is exactly what led to this 10-point move today, starting at 9:50 Eastern and ending at about 11. This is what I saw pre-market. We're looking at a 4-hour chart, and I'm ideally looking for supply and demand zones. As we push up, we have this aggressive push Wednesday morning, and we've been consolidating really during Wednesday and during the post-market and pre-market trading on Thursday. We have this slight move up, and then data drops during the pre-market today, and we have this large move up here. This looks pretty typical to me of a rally base rally going into news. These basing areas can be the start of a supply or demand zone. Knowing that, we had a really clean basing candle here on the 4-hour chart. So this is now a key level of interest for me. Something else that I do every day to look for extra confluence is chart the Fibonacci as it relates to clear swing highs and swing lows. Notice we do this from the bottom of this consolidation area to the top of news, where we're seeing the 61.8 and the 50% retracements. I'm often looking for areas like this where there's multiple areas, key levels of interest. At this point, we have 3 right now. We have the previous day close at 498.32. We now have the 61.8 at 498.66. And we have this entire area of institutional buying, also known as a demand zone. This is why I was watching this area for a bounce. I always start my mornings this way, where I look at the higher time frames, the hourly, the 4-hour. I just happen to think that this area had a cleaner basing candle on the 4-hour, but you can see it's also evident here. I also want to note that I look at ES and SPX every morning as well, and that same 4-hour demand zone was evident here with a previous day close, and with that Fibonacci aligning even closer to that previous day close. So the market opens, as I mentioned, I'm always watching SPX. I don't know how SPX moves overnight, so I always look at SPX right as the market opens, and lo and behold, we open right at 5,000, a whole cycle number. This is key in my strategy, watching these key, clean whole cycle numbers, because these are key levels that are gonna be the same for everybody. So now we're looking at this 5-minute chart, and you can see this initial candle comes down to 5,034 and immediately starts to make this push up. I don't really like to take trades within the first 10 to 15 minutes of the market open, so I did not take this. I find the moves can be crazy and sometimes illogical, and after drilling my trades for 3 years, I find that it's just better to sit out for the first 10 minutes. This is exactly what my trading setup looks like when market opens. I have the 5-minute SPY, 5-minute ES, 5-minute SPX, and 2-minute SPY charts ready to be analyzed. So knowing that I have this demand zone here, we open up, push into this demand zone, and push out as this 5-minute candle ends. We are pushing away from 5,000 and also respecting both the Fibonacci from ES and SPY that I had charted earlier. As I mentioned, I try to wait 15 to 20 minutes into the market open to take my first trade, so I let these next candles play out. We start to see a rejection here at VWAP, and on this next candle is where I took my entry. On this push down, we respect the 61.8, almost tap it to a T, and also respect the previous day close. I mentioned that I'm watching that same previous day close for an entry, that I jump in, and of course we start to get memes when this moves in our direction. I took that entry for a couple reasons. First, it was back in this demand zone, and I started to see that it was respected based on the move up. We also simultaneously respected the 9 EMA on SPX, and I knew that this was typical of a higher low setup in a demand zone. I'm also always watching order flow, and this was that same 750 candle that we were looking at before. Can't go into all of this for the sake of time, but for simplicity's sake, we saw aggressive sell orders getting pushed down just like we did in that first tap of that demand zone, but we sustained the move up and closed higher, meaning that those sellers were trapped. Saw similar type structure in this candle as I did in that original candle when we bounced out of that demand zone, with aggressive buying at the highs as well. Note that on the next candle, that aggressive buying continued too. Prior to seeing any of that though, the 2-minute came in with larger relative volume. Note how much more volume the 754 candle had than the previous. We jumped in here, had a nice reclaim of VWAP, and pushed right up into that 500 level. As mentioned, this was good for 10 points. This was a 5R move for me. Did I know that this was going to move in my direction? No. Did I think it had a high likelihood? Yes. Was it okay if it went against me? Yes, it was. The whole key with trading this way is to create scenarios where your reward is always going to be bigger than your risk. So I utilized this same previous day close back here as a stop loss, along with this 61.8. If we broke those levels, I would have been out for a simple 2 points. Always remember that for whatever trading strategy you have to be able to be wrong. You have to play defensively in this game and protect your account. I hope this helps. I do this all for education. I hope this helps. I do this all for education's sake. If you appreciated this video, I would really appreciate a like and a subscribe in return as we build this channel. Also note that we live trade here on YouTube and on TikTok every day from 10:30 till about 12. Hope you all have a great weekend, and we'll catch you in the next one.